Welcome to I Write Out Loud. Phew, I'm skidding in 3 minutes late to my own podcast. My apologies, but I am here and I am really excited to talk to you all today. Hi, Clifford. Hi, Mason. Long time no see. Hi, Diane. Hi, Paul. Hi, Ken. Hi, Politics and Aphrodisiacs. Hi, V for Violet. Phew. Hi, Molly. Hi, Dr. Jesnil. I'm going to say hello to the folks who join early, and then I probably won't be able to. Kira would like to say hi to all of you. My little dog. Oh, you can just see her tail right there. But here, this will bring her out. Hi, Lynette. Let me let her out. There she goes. My little dog who knows. Hi, Courtney. My little dog who knows she gets very spoiled whenever I do these. Hi, Secret Shout. Welcome to I Write Out Loud. Phew, I really truly did just get in here barely and not even quite on time, even though I'm doing it an hour later. The days are very full these days. I want to take a moment to acknowledge that I don't think I'm the only creator here on Substack who has a full-time job here on Substack, but also has another full-time job and also has kids or pets or people they're caretaking for or just other responsibilities. And the donning and doffing of all the hats can really be intense. So, thank you for bearing with me when sometimes I am a couple minutes late and possibly a bit scattered as I shift. Amusingly, given the topic today, I had to take a quick shower before this because I have a date right after this live. So racing home from work, getting ready for two things at once is always funny. Hi, Beth. Oh, Beth, I know you're going to have a lot to say on this topic today. Hi, Shayla. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Tracy. How's it going? Hi, Courtney. Yes, ooh la la. While we're all kind of joining and getting settled, say hello and say where you are dialing in from. I know where a lot of you are coming in from by now, but I don't know if you all know that about one another. For example, I know Beth lives within driving distance. Hi, Jason. And Beth, I feel like we need to go have a karaoke and cocktails night to celebrate your big life change one of these days very soon. You're Arizona, Northern California, Colorado Springs. While you all are doing that, I want to show you something. So these are my new glasses that look exactly like my old glasses because I have a bunch of these. But wait for it. Hold on. I'm going to move over here. I got 2 sets of frames. And I have this whole new me look, right? Oh my gosh. StreamYard Substack is putting a filter on me right now. I can see it. Like that doesn't quite look like me. But check it out. I have some very pale color frames too. And I haven't worn them yet. This is my first time putting them on. And I want to hear what you guys think. I know they're really different because we're all used to big dark glasses with sparkles. But I feel like, well, my hair is kind of fading right now. But I feel like the pale pink is kind of cute. Thank you for saying both cute and adorable. The funny thing about them is because my brain isn't accustomed to them, I see them. Like I see pink all around. I don't see the dark frames because my brain has adapted. So I don't think I'm going to wear them the whole time. I don't feel like they look very griefy. So I'm going to take these off and I'm going to put the black ones back on. And I'm going to ask that if everyone would smash that heart. See, I'm practicing because I want to be a YouTuber. Smash that heart and smash subscribe before you go. I feel like I see your eyes more. You do see my eyes more because there's no dark obstructing them. I don't know if it's a good thing or not, but I'm back to the ones that feel like home for me. Thank you for smashing the heart. That signals to Substack that we're here and that people should come join us. I'm curious to see if we get more folks since this is in the 5 o'clock Pacific time hour instead of the 4 o'clock one. They both fit my vibe. Thank you. And hi, Jennifer. And hi, Mad Philosopher. It is hard to change glasses. That's why I got 2 pairs. while I still have a job before AI takes all our jobs away, I figured I might as well take advantage of the benefits and, and get two pairs. Mm, thank you for saying I look gorgeous. You are very, very kind. Oh my gosh, I have so many windows open from earlier. So talk amongst yourselves while I close some of these out. And I'm going to tell you a funny story. Um, I go into an office for work and it's tricky. And so I just enrolled Kira in a doggy daycare very close to where I work um, for 5 hour days, half days, because it's so expensive. But this place has a webcam, which is the best. I had no idea how happy it would make me. Hi, Linnea, to watch my dog all day, to sort of be awkward around all these other dogs. But they charge extra for like everything, kind of, which I kind of get. They have stuff like if your dog wants a one-on-one cuddle session, you can pay extra. If they want a one-on-one like dog toss, you can pay extra. If they want to go take a little walk outside, you could pay extra. Okay. But today I went to get her and the bill came and I was like, well, that seems high. And they charged me for meal service because I brought her food and she served it to them. Like it wasn't them giving the food, I brought it from home. But they added, I think, like $12 or $10 onto my half daycare bill to feed her. And I'm like, doesn't that just come with the service that you feed the sentient beings the food? Like they took it off my bill for today, but I was like, isn't that weird? Anyways, I thought it was very weird, and I was just like, what are we even doing, people? What are we doing as humanity when we're doing that? Office died during COVID. We all work at home now. I want to work from home so bad. Politics. Are you hiring? Where you work? Hit me up if you are. Going into an office is after working from home for so long is rough. It really is. So I'm looking for, I've got all of those windows closed. I'm going to go pull today's essay. I'm being um, a bit glib, but we are talking about a pretty serious topic today. Oh, Jason's listening while he cooks dinner. He spoils me. Lucky girl. Let me see here. I think your dog should do self-service for expectation. Yes, she would if the food were set out. Trust me. Oh, Jennifer, thank you. Jennifer is saying that was such an amazing essay. Thank you for saying so. Um, this was a real, I'll start, hold on, let me navigate to the chat so I can put it in here. And before we get started, let me do my spiel about I Write Out Loud. I Write Out Loud is my home for creative nonfiction. It is where I am building a home for my writing, past and present. And every Monday, I have a new essay, and that tends to be kind of my theme for the week on Substack. It is the theme for this live that I do every Wednesday evening. And it becomes part of the theme for the Sunday Salon, which is a paid subscriber benefit. So it is a more intimate gathering. And it is my belief that storytelling moves the world. And I originally set up I Write Out Loud in part because I wanted a home for my writing, and in part because it was an act of audacity in these trying political times that it's important to focus on your art. We don't want to sacrifice the music, the paintings, the photography, the writing to this regime. So keep creating. And that's what this is me doing here. But it is, over time, I'm realizing my essays are never just about something that's happened to me. They are all speaking to broader cultural narratives and sometimes even political narratives. So I think storytelling may be the thing that moves our world through this very rough patch that we're in right now. So if you agree, please keep reading. Please restack my work. That means the world to me when you comment and restack, because that is how the word gets out about me as a creator. It is my goal that one day this is what I am doing with my time when I wake up. This is how I wish to be spending my one rare and precious life, is writing and podcasting and kind of connecting the dots to bring these ideas into the world with all of you. So All that said, thank you for being here. A lot of you here I know are already paid subscribers to I Write Out Loud, and I am so grateful for your support. That truly, the fact that you are some of the earliest folks to be supporting this endeavor of mine means the world to me, truly. And if there are any folks here who have been thinking about it, I will give you a little nudge and say it is just $4 a month or $40 a year. At the it's been the price since this launched, but this is like my introductory period. So it's 20% off the full subscription rate, and a paid subscription does help keep me going. And hopefully, it would be wonderful if one day it could help sustain me enough that I can have all of my focus right here. So, with all of that, thank you all for being here. And yes, Courtney, 86-47 for the win. Cheers. I'm cheersing you with my ice water. Mm. I'm a little head rushy. I think I'm tired and I've been moving too quickly and talking too quickly. So, whew, I'm going to put that all down and let's get ready to talk about this essay. So, wait, did I miss something? I think I did because I see my unapologetic playlist. That's a great name. That you are saying congrats to Shayla for her first death threat. That sounds serious. Fill me in, you guys. Or possibly not serious. I had a literal Nazi on Substack a few days ago. Like their icon, their profile picture was a fucking swastika, you guys. Just a swastika. I don't even remember the name of the account. It doesn't matter. But Frederick had smarted off to them, and I said something in the comments, and so he restacked me and said, "Are you trans? You look trans." As if that would hurt my feelings, which is what I wrote back. Like, thank you. Trans people are some of the most amazing people I know. So I have no problem with that. Nazis, however, I have a very big problem with. Shame on Substack, truly. Oh, okay. I missed that comment from Shayla probably because I wasn't quite in the live chat on my laptop yet, and I missed it going by in the phone version because I can only see one or two at a time. Shayla, I mean, congratulations, I guess. Did he also tell you that you were either old, fat, unfuckable, ugly, something like that? I hope, because you're not really a creator, a woman on the internet, unless someone's told you some variation of those things. I've heard them all. That's just what happens when you're a feminist and you speak the truth. Yes. Did I freeze? I see politics and aphrodisiacs said that I froze. The Nazi commenter was on Substack. Yes, V for Violet. I don't know, you'd have to go back quite a few days now in my feed to see it. I don't remember what his profile name was. I just remember that the icon was a swastika, and I was like, oof. I did feed him. I just commented back to it's important and said, Substack, take out the trash. So all good, no freeze. Good. I fed the troll. Oops, adjusting. I fed the troll just a smidge, and then I blocked. Okay. So let's talk about this essay. I have notes on this essay. Hold on, let me pull them up. It helps if I do that. See, one day I'm putting this out in the new moon, and every day or since of like, I am hoping one day soon that things click and what I'm doing grows, and this will be what I'm doing all day instead of in the stolen moments of every day. Let's just put that out there. Okay. So, all Gen X dating is grief. Phew. This is going to be a big one, y'all. So I that phrase came out of my mouth just in conversation, impulsively. And it came out in the conversation that this essay opens with. First of all, I should ask how many, let me come back to the chat here. How many of you all, hi, Stacy and Rick and Secret Shout. I think I said hi to you earlier, but I'm not sure. How many of you have read the essay? I can tell just looking at your names. I've seen some of you restack it or comment on it. But if you don't mind just letting me know if you have read it, yes or no, I won't assume too much. But the essay opens and it's Thanksgiving Eve. And I am having drinks with one of my BFFs, Sunny, and her boyfriend, Ryan, though I left him off because I had him in there in the first draft. And then I was like, that's just going to confuse people. They're going to be like, why is Ryan there if he doesn't get mentioned? This is your first time meeting me. Hi, Secret Shout. Welcome. And Amy, I'm glad you appreciate the audio version of the essay. I'm going to pause and say this before I dive into it. I do that with every essay. That is part of I Write Out Loud, is I say the essay out loud. And the last 2 weeks have both been brand new essays. And I am not a fast essay writer. And this week especially, I was like, I have to get this out today. I post every Monday, and I really held myself to that deadline. So the last 2 weeks, I have been recording those essays at like midnight, Sunday night in my stinky basement, with my nice microphone. And I feel like I stammered a bit this time because I was so tired after like the grueling weekend of trying to birth this essay. I still wish I'd had like 2 or 3 more days of passes on it because I'm so meticulous as an editor. And I was like, Dana, you have to just go. You have to keep going. I knew once the work week started, I would not have time to get back to it. And I didn't want it to wait a week. I didn't want to post an essay from my archive. This week, I wanted a new one, and it was important. So thank you, Lynette. Yes, I read every essay in my own voice. I'm really glad that Substack offers a pre-recorded like an AI one for every essay, but I want them read as I'm intended them to be heard. And that includes with my dog sometimes growling or barking on a treat in the background, or the cat. I allow a couple of pet noises in the background before I stop it and re-record it. Speaking of which, my show is sponsored by Nature Naws. Not that they're paying me, but Nature Naws keep Kira quiet. Here you go. Okay. So I'm out for drinks and some snacks with my friends Sunny and Ryan, and it is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I love those found days, those found evenings. Like my kids were with their dad. I had all the hurried prep work done for Thanksgiving, and I'm catching up with Sunny and Ryan. And at the time, I had an online dating profile up for some time. The last guy I was seeing that, and actually it hadn't been that long, that relationship had ended at the end of September. So this is Thanksgiving, and I had already been in communication with this suitor for a few weeks, and I'd already kind of texted Sunny about it. And I'm hesitating a little because this is someone I am seeing now, and so I told him I was writing this essay, and I gave him right of first refusal on it Sunday evening. That was really kind of scary to send this essay to someone who I'm pretty newly dating. And he was lovely about it. I don't want to disclose a whole ton about that though, so I'm going to be careful. I may get into a bit more detail I will get into more detail in the Sunday salon because it's a far smaller audience there because that's a paid subscriber benefit. So become a paid subscriber and you can join. So I'm with Sunny and Ryan, and I mention that I am dating this man. And Sunny is my like very incisive, like no bullshit friend who you want to talk to, right? She was just like, all right, Dana, how long has it been now? Because I had told her his circumstances, and his circumstances that he is a fresh widower. And I tell her, and she's like, you can't date him. The grief is too new. Or you can't date someone who is grieving. And it just popped into my head of like, all Gen X dating is grief. And I have been sitting with that statement for months since then because it's a very simple statement, but it's a pretty profound statement. And it has recalibrated a lot of the dates and the relationships I have known in recent months and years, um, to see it through the lens of grief, instead of seeing it necessarily through some less flattering lenses. And what I mean when I say all Gen X dating is grief is if you are 50 something, I'm just going to call it 50 something, even though I know some young Gen Xers are in their 40s and older ones are maybe teetering over 60, but 50 somethings. If you have reached this age and you are looking for love and relationship and you are looking to date a peer, all of these things are me. Anyone you meet has grief here. And the grief comes in many forms, and some of the grief is acute, and some of the grief is chronic, and sometimes the grief is a mishmash of many layers of grief. But it's all here, even if you don't see it initially. I don't walk about like a person who is in grief, right? But grief is there. And so part of onboarding in a new relationship is recognizing the grief in this other person and then recognizing the grief in you as a starting point because it will color so much else that comes after it. And it's also the idea of, and I have heard this a lot. This is not the first widower I have dated, and I touch on that in this essay. There's sort of this sense of, is he ready? Is she ready? And I think ready is a fallacy. And I think that grief is a very bad timekeeper. So many years can have passed, and there can still be things that a widower or just a person in grief is not ready for. And some people immediately after something ends are ready for if the right circumstances come along to be in relationship again. It doesn't mean that they are entering like a clean slate. I think that's the thing about ready is it sounds like there's a like, okay, all the pain is gone now. I am tabula rasa, ready to meet my next relationship. And that simply isn't how humans work. And I'm going to pause and I'm going to look to the comments because I know that there are probably a lot coming in. I've seen some come by, and this is going to be one that I hope is really interactive because I suspect folks will have a lot to say on this topic. So I'm going to, oh yeah, there's a lot here. So let me see here. Scrolling up. Okay, here we go. A few people said I haven't read it yet. A few people said they have. And a few of you are saying how much you love the audio version. Good. I'm so glad. It's really good to hear. Hi, Secret Chat. You will find community here. Thank you, Shayla. That is a source of pride. That is the intent, and it's so true. I don't know if you guys can hear my dog just freaking out, but I'm going to ignore her for a few minutes. I hope she just chills out. My unapologetic playlist, love your username, just broke up with my boyfriend who I met in real life soon after my husband's death. So I have been out of touch with dating for over 20 years. Now I need to read your essay and undergo initiation to dating in this day and age. First, I'm sorry both for the loss of your husband all those years ago and for the loss of your relationship. Here, let me put the essay in here again for those who maybe haven't read it. But I write a lot about what it means to be dating as a Gen X aged woman. And it's funny, I'm looking for my peers. And I just don't know women my age who are both dating and writing about it. So if you know of anyone, please share their links with me because I read a lot about dating, but it's mostly from younger women and men. But I don't find a lot of peers. I would love to. I would love to have these conversations with someone who's in the thick of it. Let's see, V for Violet in the 5th grade, when we had to write an essay, I proudly wrote SA at the top of my paper. Oh, like an essay. Oh, that's funny. I like it. Beth, yes, Beth is finally. Is this okay if I read it out loud, Beth? I'm going to read it out loud because you've been writing about it very publicly on Substack. It's not a secret. You're filing for divorce after almost 30 years of marriage. I saw the photo you just posted, Beth, of the beautiful sunlight. We're having a very spectacular day here in the Pacific Northwest today. And you had the glass of wine, and it just looked lovely. So you seem at peace with your decision, and I'm happy for you. And I'm sure it will also come with its challenges, but you've taken a very brave step. And what I will say as someone who went through it, not anywhere near 30 years, but there aren't that many people who will be like, good for you. But I will say, good for you. You're doing something for yourself, and you're kind of bucking norms, and that's hard. So good for you. I'm looking, I feel like I have a very like soft haze on my lens. Is that better? I think this is just like the Substack beauty filter is like, oh, she's old. And they're putting a lot of filters on me because it's very bright in here right now. I should look more vibrant than this. Anyhow, let me keep going. Dana, some that I listen to in the recording even read the references, which is fun too when I'm cooking or cleaning and I can't turn them off. You read the references? I'm not sure what that's referring to, but I'm glad you listened to the recording. How does he feel about it? I'm not sure if that's referring to Basil, as I called him. You can clarify there, Shayla, but he liked the essay. And I'll get more into his response to it on Sunday because I don't want to talk about it in a public forum. Let's see here. Beth, I've been thinking about you. Yeah, we're all thinking about you, Beth. Like, seriously, you're only like less than an hour away if the traffic is easy. We should get together. Fresh widow dater right here. Okay, I bet you are going to have stories to tell. My apologetic playlist. Shayla says, we're all damaged goods in some respect. Could Boomer be as well? Of course. This is just dating later in life. When you're in your 20s and you're meeting people, y'all are kind of, we're all pretty new. And frankly, less interesting. But by our ages now, we've all known some shit and we all are coming in with some grief. I think it's a very layered statement and context dependent from person to person. I absolutely love you coming up with such a straightforward statement. Thank you, Jennifer. V for Violet says, I was a young widow. I keep wishing I could find a widower because they would get it. Yeah, they seem to find me. I'm not sure why. But yeah, let's see. Wow, there's so many. Oh my goodness, there's so many comments here. I'm a boomer who has no idea whether my whole life has been a lie, only widowed for about 3.5 years. Feels like I'm starting to wake up and recognize I'm not done yet. Good, you are definitely not done yet. As long as you are here, you are not. Amy says that's what my memoir is about, dating the first year after my husband died. Oh my goodness, Amy, that had to be intense. I do think there's a lot of gender stuff that's different. Sorry, that was a very bad sentence. Gender stuff that's different. I think that being a widow versus a widower, I say this in the essay, that there is a dearth of men who are emotionally available looking for a relationship. And therefore women tend to be willing to stick it out through the acute grief because they have found a man who is like that. And I don't think women who lose their spouses have the same consideration. And that's unfortunate, but that is yet another disadvantage women have in dating. Oh. Amy, I am eager to read your take on that. Let me see here. And I stole a dream daddy from my 9-year-old, and my 14-year-old is over the moon that boyfriend is out. Oh, okay. So your kids have different feelings about it. Oh, so that is a lot of grief because your kids also um, lost this person for better or for worse. That is hard, and that is something I have also written about. I reference in this essay that there was a man years ago who was a widower who had a 2.5-year-old. When we met, our kids were friends. I was married. He was part of the reason my marriage ended. That's a long story. Perhaps for an essay one day, a proper one. But I have written about his child, who was nearly my daughter. I will post that essay to I Write Out Loud for Mother's Day. I'll put it up in May. So pretty soon. Because for a couple of years there, I had 3 little girls. And, you know, there's definitely a grief around that. One thing I say and feel often, and where this all GenX dating is grief phrase came from is that I alluded to this earlier that I am in grief, even though I don't outwardly appear that way, because my grief is low grade chronic grief that my partner pillar has been missing for 14 years. I have had boyfriends of varying lengths and levels of seriousness, but the partner pillar that got knocked out in late 2011, early 2012, and so um, my life has gone on. I love my life. This is not me going, there's no lament like that. But I always think of my life with these as like a home with these pillars that are supporting it. I think we all have, this is how lives generally work. And your pillars need to be steady for your life to sit on them. So the pillars are things like your career pillar, your financial pillar, your home pillar, your partnership pillar, which is different from your relationship pillar or your sex pillar, because those can be there in differing amounts. Your friendship pillars, your creative interests, your religion, if that's important to you. There are all these things that kind of hold and sustain you, right? And they are related. So, like when your job pillar gets knocked down, your financial pillar gets wobbly. And if you don't have a partner pillar in place, it gets extra wobbly, right? So my pillars, knock on wood, are quite stable, but the partner pillar is missing. When I got laid off back in 2018, boy, I could really feel the wobble of that partner pillar missing as I was looking for work. And then the financial pillar got really wobbly along with it because there is a stability to each of these things that can get missed. And I've long thought of it that way, but it is only recently that I've really thought of it as grief. And the reason I acknowledge that it's grief is that I have dated men who were very recently separated out of marriages, like very, very fresh, very long-term marriages. I have dated a man who was caregiving for a dying former spouse. I have dated widowers. These are and were men in acute grief. And I acknowledged that grief. What I didn't acknowledge was that um, my grief comes with different needs. Like caring for my grief requires something else. It was very obvious to see their grief because it was circumstantial, immediate. There's a name for it. You kind of know what's happening. And as someone who was dating them, there were accommodations that I made, both functionally and emotionally, to in order to be with them and to support them. But chronic grief, my grief, very much got pushed to the side. And my grief shows up as things like anxiety, right? Like that pillar's been missing a really long time. And that means I have tried and failed at some level in dating many, 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 many times. And that leaves me with this low-lying grief that when it hits up against their grief, they're pulling away, um, they're not communicating well. That triggers me. And I've written about this before around anxiety and anxious attachment and things. But it's only recently that I've really acknowledged like it's a grief reaction too, because it's a logical reaction to circumstances. And the only way for a relationship to really thrive and grow is you have to see each other's grief. Um, men, well, people, but I date men. So the men I've dated who have been in active grief, some of them, that active grief took up so much air, there was no room left for me or mine. And I was always the one expected to accommodate the grief needs. And I think for a relationship to successfully work, you have to be able to look each other's grief face on and say, like, what do you need to feel safe here? Those are my thoughts on this. And I'm going to come and take a look. Oh, hi, Ellie. I love, Ellie, that you join and people are like, Ellie is here. Ellie is here. Oh, Ellie, you are just loved. And that's wonderful. And Michelle is here. Hi, Michelle. And Angie and Commander Cool. Look at all these, Paula. Oh my gosh, so many people joined while I was monologuing just then. I do want to come back and catch up on these comments because these thoughts are like, I don't want to come here and be like, I've had a completely novel thought. No one's ever thought this in the world. But I have never heard someone say that all Gen X dating is grief, that all dating over a certain age involves your griefs needing to meet. There probably are people who've said it. But I came to it rather organically and circumstantially. So I'm going to look here. Let me know if you ever pass through Central Illinois. I don't know who you're talking to, Michelle, but I'm going to take that as if I am, I'm calling you. Hi. Let me see here. I don't see what you're replying to here, Angie, but I do. Oh, you're replying to V for Violet. Depending on your cultural background, there's more scrutiny to the widow for tarnishing the legacy of the deceased. Yes. And I don't know if that was a gendered response or not, widow versus widower, but I will say when dating someone who is in acute grief because they are widowed or they are separated, this is very much a factor, is the, I'm just going to say the man because I'm dating men, when he rightfully doesn't want to disrespect the memory of the person, the late wife or the soon-to-be ex-wife, there's a cultural math that has to happen that I wink at in the essay. I don't fully call it out, but I'm going to say it here because I want to get your feedback collectively. When my mom has a partner, lovely guy. He was married to his wife for like 50 years. They were college sweethearts, and my mom was friends with both of them. And she passed, which was very sad. But she was sick for a long time, so it was known and it was coming. And he came after my mom like a month later. Like it was very, very soon. And asked her to dinner. And I was like, this is a date, Mom. And she didn't think it was, but of course it was. And, they were in their late 70s. At the mid to late then. They're in their late 70s now. So no one batted an eyelash at that. Like his family is super supportive. I'm super supportive. They're lovely together, right? And I think I remember my grandfather, not as quickly, but he found someone back in the day. Like I think there's a generational thing there that boomers on back, like that heteronormative monogamy couple thing, it was so strong that, like, of course you remarried. Like that was the only way people knew how to function. And so, but more than that, there's a sense of what are you going to do? Wait to heal for a few years? Like you might not be here anymore because their ages are advanced. And so there's very much a sense of go for it. Just be happy. Life is for the living. For Gen X, we were the first generation where it was okay to be alone. Women can buy their own houses and cars, at least for now, if the administration doesn't take that away from us. There's very much this like, we're all okay alone. And so we don't have social norms for this, right? And this was something I talked about with Sunny that night as we were having our delicious bourbony drinks and snacks at Stoneburner, which is an amazing restaurant in Seattle if you're ever here. um, that I was like, how long is long enough to wait? How long at our ages, in our mid to late 50s, is one supposed to wait before one can pursue joy again? I don't have an answer. Because my belief is that ready isn't real. Ready is a construct. And so while I heard her, because she is my friend, of course, and had my best interest at heart, and believe me, I have had and have reservations about, the newness of it all. But anyone, I think the way I said it to her that night was like, anyone I have met who was worth meeting, any man, was truly very close to getting out of something that like they wouldn't have been ready to be dating. It is simply the way things go, that an awful lot of people don't wait because connection is wonderful and sex is fun and people don't, we're social. Well, social is not quite the right word, but some of us are very drawn to partnership. So I'm going to come back to the comments again and keep going here. So Amy is saying, I was 54 when my husband died almost 5 years ago. Our son was 9 and now he is 14. Okay. I'm here to learn and grow. Oh, Ellie, you're so sweet. Thank you. So let's see here. Having a homeless ex is traumatic and it's hard not to feel like trying to help the endless need. Oh, Courtney, that is hard. That is a grief right there. But he doesn't support us, so I have to limit emotional. Yeah, that's I'm sorry that you are dealing with that. That is a hard grief to carry around. Oh gosh, V for Violet. My husband was killed cycling in 2010. He was only 40. I still cry for him nearly every day. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. That that breaks my heart to hear. I had a feeling that this folks would be coming in and bringing some really hard truths given this topic. So, sending you my love, Violet. Oh, Laura, you're so sweet, calling me insightful. Ellie and I we're like this. Maybe not. Maybe one finger. Ellie is amazing, and Ellie, in addition to being brilliant and investigative, is also an incredible author. So we share that love of words. So let's see here. My dad died in a car accident when I was a few months old. There's strangely lots to write about that too. Oh, Lynette, I'm sure that's an absence you have felt your whole life. 12 years for you, Laura. Okay. Same time frame my ex left. Our kiddo was 10 months old and we have a great life, but it left a two-legged stool and it's lopsided. And that is your grief. Yes. That is kind of what it feels like. Like you can build this great life, but you're aware when a pillar is missing. I can feel it, and I feel it especially when it bumps up against fresh grief, because I end up. Um, I'm happy to get to know them emotionally, and part of that is offering a form of support and there's a lot of emotional investment when you're first getting to know someone. So there have been times, many times, when it has felt very lopsided. It doesn't feel that way right now. So that astonishingly, it doesn't. So um, tip a hat to Basil on that one. So I'm gonna, so many folks are joining. I'm gonna put the link to the article back here in the chat, and I'm gonna keep going. There's so many comments, you guys. Thank you so much. Geez, I forgot there is a sex pillar. Beth, welcome to being single again. You can rediscover that as much or as little as you wish. It is definite. I mean, the thing about pillars, the pillars that sustain you, is that some people maybe don't want to be in a relationship or don't want to be sexually active. So that pillar isn't needed to sustain their life. Some people may lean into their religion really heavily to sustain them. I am not a religious person. I don't need that pillar. So there's some things that are consistent. I think we all have a need for home. We all have a need for companionship, whether it's romantic or familial or friendship. Um, we all have a need for base like financial support and food, shelter, Maslow kind of shit. Those needs are shared, I think, by all of us. But the other ones, they can kind of play around a bit. Like I have a pretty strong fun pillar. I need to have fun in my life. And if I don't, and that pillar starts wobbling or feels like it's being kicked over, I feel lopsided. I need to sometimes just whatever it is that is fun for me, I need to be doing that. Okay. Oh, Beth, I'm sorry. You have horrible anxiety. I hope that you have support. You are going through a lot. And I truly mean it. DM me if you want to get together. I know you're a little far, but you're not too far from me. So we should get together and have a cheers moment. Because the more you see how fun your life will be when you are lighter and able to move without feeling whatever the burden was of your spouse, that levity is really pretty incredible. So you have hard days ahead, but you also have some I hope, very carefree, joyous days ahead. Kurt says, I have a good friend whose adult kids had no children. Their spouses did have children. My friend and his wife loved being non biological grandparents until their own children separated from their spouses and the grandkids disappeared. Oh, Kurt, that is so hard. I have a bit of experience with that just in dating, as I referenced earlier. And maybe that's why you put this in the chat that I was with a man for 2.5 years who had a little daughter from 2.5 to 5. I was there. And when I post the essay, you guys will see, I'll post it for Mother's Day. But it's called, I don't have the exact title in my head, but it's about I lost a daughter and she lost her third mom. I was her third mom, effectively, because she was adopted. So that was her first mom. And then the woman who adopted her mother, got cancer and died by the time she was 18 months old. And then I met her when she was 2.5. And she lost me when she was 5. So that poor kid had a lot of grief. I mean, I don't think she had a lot of awareness of the first two, but it breaks my heart to just say that out loud. Let me see here. The sad reality is to understand those pillars. You don't find them when young, but if you want them, you can find them. Yeah, the pillar metaphor is something I really came to as a grown-ass adult, to be like, yep, there's things that I need to stay solid. There's ways in which I can be up here and be like, blah, 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 blah. Like right now with the full-time job and the full-time podcasting and writing and substacking, and I'm kind of scattered and all up here, but my home is really stabilizing. I've been in this house for over 20 years. I've been in Seattle this summer will be 30 years. Like there are things that, and I've like my friend group and my kids and strangely their dad, my ex-husband, is one of my like rocks, people I can count on. So we have our things we can count on. I missed how many pillars there are. Uh, there are as many pillars as you want to say there are. I'm not quoting a known methodology. This is just a way I think about support in the world. let me see here. That memoir touched me in a place I hadn't spent enough time with, Dana, even though I believe that I had. I'm so grateful you expressed exactly what I needed. Love you for that. Oh, Laura, thank you. That means the world to me. Seriously. You're gonna make me cry. um, it was, I say this a lot, it was hard to write. Um, because I didn't want to get it wrong. This was important. And it was also because I knew I would be sharing it with the pivotal figure in it. It was an interesting essay from a craft perspective because I didn't intend to make him so prominent in it. And then as I was like mulling how to, make the arc of the story go, I was like, it has to be done through the lens of him because he's present day. And so that was how it came out. And I'm happy with how the story rolled out. Am I glitching a little for you guys? Because I'm looking on my phone and I feel like I'm a little robotic looking. Um, I'm asking this and I'm not going to be able to, oh my gosh, see your answers. I'm scrolling down here to see if any of these come in. Of course, if I do that, it's hard to come up. Jennifer says, one of my big pillars is emotional congruence because our nervous system is so often neglected. Jennifer, that is so true. Like, I am fascinated with the idea of regulation and dysregulation and how a lot of people, sometimes myself included, see chemistry and an initial relationship onset can be very dysregulating. I have always worded it as like, I want someone who feels electric, but who also feels like home. And that's a hard mix, but I now see it as regulation versus dysregulation. And how rare to find someone who kind of like sets your heart on fire, but also puts your nerves at peace. And I'm really focused on the peace part right now of like, nothing can grow if your nervous system is crazy out of whack. And it's on each of us to do the work. If it's our faults that we're out of whack, sometimes it is just us. But often it's the person and really seeing how it feels to be around that person and their grief is very telling. Let me see here. I feel like I've maybe missed some of the comments. I'm sorry if I've missed yours because I've scrolled up and down and it's jumping a bit. Um, Bob says there's a difference between religion and spirituality. I completely agree. Um, they are related, but different. Shayla says fun, and Beth says fun. Yes, Shayla says that's why I started my podcast. Everyone go tune into Shayla's fun podcast. I'm hoping I'm going to be on that one soon, Shayla. So let me see here. Diane says, I'm resilient, been self-sufficient, capable, but it would be nice to have a supportive, emotionally supportive partner to understand how my days are, laugh, and sex that feels connected. Diane, yeah, that's like that. That's exactly it. I wish that for you. It is not easy. And the older we get, the less easy that gets. That is for sure. Politics and Aphrodisiac says, oh, you have a sweet spirit, Dana, that any man would love when the time is right. You are very kind. There have been men who have not. Not the right men. We'll just say that. So thank you. Let me see here. Unapologetic playlist is also plus wanting the nervous system and the emotional congruence. Is it Basil from Baker Street? Is that a song? I'm not sure what you're referencing. Basil is not his real name. That is the name he chose to be his fake name. So I think it's a funny pick. We need to sit down together since I look at it from a fashion psychological perspective, which is so damn multi-layered. A fashion psychological. Fashion like the clothes that you wear fashion? That is, I want to hear more about that. I'm not sure how fashion would play into that. Plain black t-shirt, fresh out of the shower. Let me see here. I am 57 and peace is everything. Girl, I'm 55 and same. Brick says, oh, this is very powerful for me tonight, Dana. Good. I'm glad. It is only when we unearth the bones that we have to excavate. I always say when I write memoir, I get like good memoir gets me coated in memoir dust. And this isn't a super memoir piece because I'm not digging back too far in depth. Though some parts of it did get me a little coated in the memoir dust, is what I like to say. Like it kind of coats everything and lingers, and the emotion of it sticks with me. In the essay, I talk about the first widower I dated. I think I was 31 and he was 29. Someone I met online in the early days of online dating, and he was from Central California. He had just found me and came on really, really strong. And I was coming off of series of a couple bad breakups and was pretty vulnerable and excited about this connection. And of course, in the wisdom of hindsight, I'm like, of course he picked someone 2 states away, Dana. He wasn't ready for anything. But to me, it felt very vulnerable and connected. And he flew up to see me, and we had this whole whirlwind weekend. And I was like, wow, this is proof that he's really into me. And then he disappeared. In the essay, I say I never heard from him again. I may have heard from him once or twice, but for all intents and purposes, he disappeared. Um, and at the time, I was like just stunned and shell shocked and didn't know what had happened to me. Now I'm like, that was a grief response, Dana. You were part of his grief toolkit. He needed to connect at a really deep level with someone with enough emotional intelligence to take him on, while he was hurting. And then he needed to get out of there because he wasn't actually ready for anything else. And he was so young. He was so young. And I have a lot of empathy for that guy now. He had a 5-year-old kid, I think, and who had also almost died in the same accident, but was fine. So yeah, I hadn't thought about that in years, and I was kind of like, oh yeah, that really hurt when it happened. And wow, I have so much more context for it now. This aging is wisdom thing is sometimes like, wow, it really and actually is. Um, okay, I'm still going to keep scrolling. I can be on your podcast anytime, Sheila. This is the Gen X topic I want to talk about. Can we talk about Gen X and grief, or is that not fun enough? Because I can find a more fun topic. We could just talk about Gen X and dating. That would be kind of fun. Or we can talk about music or something more exciting. Statistically, widowers remarry within 2 years. Many widows stay single because we don't want to become someone's nurse or purse. Wives carry the mental load and emotional labor within relationships, and I don't want to do that again. I hear you, Amy. And yes, I know that happens. It's another way the world is not kind to women as we age and want to still find partnership. It is just true. Let me see here. You want me to come on and talk about hose water and neglect, Jason? I have to say, I don't remember ever drinking from a hose. And maybe that makes me a bad Gen X kid. I also, like, my mom was home. I was not a latchkey kid. So I suppose in that respect, I was a little bit anomalous for Gen X. I certainly wouldn't have been surprised to see kids drinking out of a hose, but I have no memory of drinking from a hose. So I would not be the right guest for that. Let me see here. Jennifer says, I look at emotional regulation through the lens of identity, emotions, and society. So how do we balance our internal perception and behavior within this world? A bit of a sprinkle of social psychology and systemic cultural critique included. Lovely. One of my best friends was a young widower. He remarried a couple of years after his first wife's passing. He still grieves deeply, especially in February, 10 years later. Yeah, I would expect that grief never ends. And I think I think it's different when it's someone who's widowed, but it maybe carries through for all of us. Like, I have grief that my marriage ended. I don't know that I have regret. That's a hard question to answer. Like, yeah, that's too complicated a question. I love where my life is and our lives are and who our kids are, and I can't think to undo that. But there's surely grief that the person I thought I would spend my whole life with didn't end up working out that way. I don't think that's the same grief as someone whose spouse dies. The level of grief is different, and it's what I meant when I said that grief is a bad timekeeper. And the man with the child who I dated for 2.5 years, he was single for 2.5 years until he met me. And so by the end, excuse me, his wife had been gone 5 years, I think, somewhere around that. And he still wasn't really ready to course correct, at least not with me. Like, wasn't willing to leave that home, wasn't really willing to integrate his life with me at all, unless I just came and hung out at their place. Um, we I left with the understanding of, like, we were gonna blend our families, and, like, we never got close to it, and I was pretty angry about it and hurt by it, but I now see it's grief again. Like, he just wasn't ready, even all those years later, and if I had had that wisdom then and we had had a way to talk about it, then maybe, the relationship would have stood a chance, but it didn't, by that point, which is kind of sad. Let me see here. Maybe the style of grief is different, but I think all grief is valid in its own accord. When life turns out different than what you envisioned, wanted, hoped, that is grief, and humans don't do really well with it. Yeah, I got nothing to add. Just mic drop. That was perfect. I haven't consulted my notes even once. Oh, and it's already 6:05. We are over time. Wow, that just flew by. Um, you know, here was a very key idea that I didn't bring up at all. And this actually came from the one thing I will share that Basil said after reading the essay or talking to me about it was he said, is what you're describing grief baggage? Is it the same thing? And I don't think it is. And the line that I came up with, I was like, that's it, is that grief is the wound and baggage is what forms around it. That some people process it and some don't, but everyone has it. Um, and some people manage their baggage better than others. Some people maybe even work through their baggage. They put it, in the proverbial overhead bin and are okay. But I think the grief is always still there. So they are not interchangeable, but they are adjacent. They're related. Um, Another core idea that I didn't get to is the um, widowers. I touched on this, how widowers seem very appealing to women because they're someone who passed the ultimate commitment test, right? Till death do we part. He stayed until then. And that's very appealing. But the paradox of it is the thing that makes that so appealing is also the same thing that can make them so unavailable, right? Being attracted to, like, the depth of love, but the depth of love is keeping them tethered to their past. So it's a tricky paradox. It's a tricky paradox, that is. I think most of these other core ideas that I have in here are already touched on, but Sunday Salon, I'm going to get into this more. I will give a bit more personal backstory on kind of all the inspiration behind this, some more details about the men mentioned in the story that I don't want to share on a public live because it's a little personal. I'm glad you liked that line, Greg. I assume you mean the baggage line, grief and baggage. I liked that too. I posted it as a standalone note and, like, it went crickets. I thought it was something that went well together. Um, Let me see here. I'm looking for some final comments. Um, there is a duality in grief, especially around my son. He's graduating middle school, and I'm so proud of him, but I'm also sad that my husband is missing these milestones. Yes, the grief of these kids is immense and lifelong. And I know that you are providing a stable, loving support for him, but it also does have to hurt that the other parent isn't there. And I'm sorry. That is hard. Yes, sending hearts. Just be careful with a man who has only been a widower for 3 months. Yes. This was more backstory for Sunday, but I'll say we actually did pause because it was too soon, and then reconnected a month or so later. So it has now been over 8 months, so a bit more time. 3 months was, I think, it was more of, yeah. I don't want to get into that too much, but it has been more time. So you can rest assured with that a bit more time has passed. Yes, and with every holiday and milestone, there will be a missing. Yeah, fun fact about, and I'm being tongue in cheek. It's not fun at all. But the widower who I dated all of those years ago, I didn't just date him. I mean, he was my boyfriend for 2.5 years. His wife's death day was the night before my 40th birthday. So they were within 24 hours. And I love birthdays. I'm really big on celebrating my birthday and other people's birthdays. But my birthday every year, it was also his grief day, or it was the day after his grief day. That was rough. That was rough. So sometimes the world does strange things like that. Grief can also be a gift, connects us with each other, and helps us understand what we value in life. Thank you for saying that, Liberty Guardian, because that's kind of the whole thing, right? Like, grief is what connects us to love. And there will always be a form of grief around, but it's worth it because it means we love and loved. So that seems like a very positive note to end this rather somber topic on. So I will just say hearts to all of you. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to post the link to the essay one more time. If you have not read it yet, I would love if you would read it. Wow, look at the sunlight coming in. Can you see the golden hour starting here? Oh, catching the late afternoon rays. It's so beautiful in Seattle today. You guys would it's amazing. But if you would read it, I would love to hear from you in the comments. If you would be so kind as to restack it and to heart it, that would mean the world to me, because that will help elevate it on Substack so more people find it and read it. It is hard for us small stacker memoirists to catch air. So anything that you can do to help elevate the story would be so meaningful. And for my paid subscribers, please come join me on Sunday for the Sunday Salon. That is at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. And this week will be a lot of backstory into this one, because this essay has so much backstory that I don't want just out on the public interwebs. And it'll also be about the responses the story is getting, and if anything crazy in the news happens between now and then, which I just brace myself for whenever I say that, because Lordy knows what could happen between now and then. Hey, for the last one, there was a shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner that I ended up talking about a bunch that I did not know would happen until the night before when it happened. Enjoy your evenings. I'm going on a date, so I've got to go get myself ready. Love you, mean it, everyone. Bye.